So now let's move on to your next topic in your third chapter, that is capital structure theory. We'll be starting off with illustration 1. Now illustration 1 says a company's expected operating income is 1 lakh. Okay, it says net operating income is rupees 1 lakh and it has rupees 3 lakh 10% debentures. The equity capitalization rate is 12%. So it says calculate the value of the firm and overall capitalization rate under a net income approach. Second, it says find out the impact on the value of the firm and overall capitalization rate by increasing the debt component to rupees 4 lakh and decrease in debt up to rupees 2 lakh. The cost remains the same. Something really important to note, the cost remains the same. Okay, now to begin with the solution of this particular problem, we need to see all the three things and what is the information that is given to you, because we need to find out the value of the firm. Now you need to find out the value of the firm when it was earlier 3 lakhs. Next you need to find out the value of firm when it is 4 lakhs, and you need to find out the value of the firm when it is 2 lakhs. So let's start with the let's begin with the solution to the particular problem. Now to begin with the solution of the particular problem, you need to start with solving value of the firm when it is rupees 3 lakhs. Now this rupees is nothing but it is your debt. When the value of the firm's debt is rupees 3 lakh. So what was your net operating income? I'm sorry girls, in the video you cannot see the question, but I will be sending you the question notes also. Now what was the net operating income when you have to solve it in 3 lakhs? The net operating income when you had to solve it, okay, the net operating income in the question is rupees 1 lakh, which is given to you. For the first part, it is 1 lakh. To this, we will deduct what is the interest on debenture. It says 3 lakh 10% debentures. So deduct it with less on debentures. That is 3 lakhs 10%. 3 lakh 10% will give you 30,000. Okay, 10% will give you 30,000. Now 1 lakh minus 30,000 will give you 70,000. Now this 17,000 is nothing. This 70,000 is your earning after equity and shares. Okay, ESHS. Okay, this will be your EAESHS, that is 70,000. 1 lakh minus 30, which is 70,000. Now after which you have to calculate the market rate, and with this same thing you need to calculate your market rate also. Okay, now next you need to see what is the market value. This is your part 1. Okay, this is your part 1 of the solution. Next you need to see in the part 2, you need to see what is the market value of equity shares. Okay, now market value we found out it is 70,000. Okay, so market value divided by your capitalization rate. Okay, it is given in the question, it is 12% into 100. So market value divided by capitalization rate by 12 into 100 is 583,333. Okay, it is 5 lakhs 83. Okay, now next is, after you find out your market value of in the part 1, this is A, you found out your net operating income, you found out the value of equity shares, you found out the market value of the shares. Now next one is you need to find out your market value. The C will be market value of firm. Now to find out your market value of the firm, you need to take this particular amount, the market value of equity shares, okay, which we found out. Okay, plus you need to take what was the value, which was the value of the firm's debt, that is 3 lakh. Okay, which add these two. Okay, 88,333. Okay, so you found out the market value of the firm. Now next is you need to find out the overall capitalization rate. Overall capitalization rate. Okay, this will be your part D. In your first part, it is D. Okay, now to find out your overall capitalization rate, it is earning before interest and tax divided by what is the value of the firm, into 100. Now overall capitalization rate. Now what is the overall capitalization rate? It is your net operating income, that is 1 lakh. Okay. Earning before interest and taxes 1 lakh. Okay, you need to substitute this in formula. Next is your value of the firm, which we just found out, into 100. Okay, which will give you 11.32%. Similarly, this first part has to be repeated for the entire question. Okay, you need to repeat it for your entire question. We did it for 3 lakhs. Next, you need to do it for 4 lakhs, and you need to do it for 2 lakhs. Okay, now okay, now you need to find out when the cost, next you need to find out for 4 lakhs. Okay, now in order to find out for the 4 lakhs, it says value of debt when it is increased to 4 lakhs. Similarly, just as we solved the first part, you will have to solve your second part also. Now what was your net operating income in the question? It was given as 1 lakh. Next, it was given as 4 lakh but 10%, right? The increasing the debt component. Now what was the debt percentage which was given to you? It was 10%. So 4 lakh into 10% will give you 40,000. Now 1 lakh minus 40,000, 60,000 will be your EAE/SHS. Okay, after which you will find out your market value of equity shares by similarly how I showed you the first step, how you need to do it. You will divide 60,000 by divided by the capitalization rate, which is given to you in the question, which says it is 12%. Okay, your EAE/SHS divided by 12 into 100, which will give you 5 lakh. After which you will find out your market value of firm, 5 lakhs plus what was the what was the earlier debt which was given, 4 lakh, right? 4 lakh into 10% will give you 40,000. To 10% will give you 40,000. So 4 lakh plus the amount which you get, 5 lakh, will give you the market value of the firm, which is 9 lakhs. After which you will find out what is the after which you will find out the overall capitalization rate. Now to find out overall capitalization rate, it is EBIT divided by the value of the firm into 100. EBIT is your EBIT which was given to you in the question. It is 1 lakh divided by the value of the firm, which is 9 lakh, into 100 will give you 11.11%. Similarly, you will have to do it for the second part also. Okay, that is for 2 lakhs. Similarly, follow the same steps and calculate the percentage for all. You will get the similar percentages for everything whether the value of the firm is increasing or it is decreasing. I hope this particular problem is clear to you all. When you know to solve the first part, the second and the third part, when the amount is increasing or decreasing, it becomes very easy for you to calculate. Now moving on to your next topic. Your next topic is traditional approach. Now what is this traditional approach? It is in terms of net income theory, and net income operating income theory, which stands for extreme forms of traditional approach. Okay, basically it stands between the two theories. Your traditional approach stands between two theories, that is net income theory and net operating income theory. Okay, it stands between the two. The theory was advocated by financial experts. Okay, the net income theory. Okay, this theory, the traditional approach in this theory, was advocated by the financial experts, that is Esther Solomon and Fred Wetson. Now, according to this theory, a proper and right combination of debt and equity will always lead to market value. Okay, right combination of debt and equity will always lead to market value and enhancement of firm. Now this approach accepts all the equity shareholders, okay, perceives financial risk and expects premiums from risk undertaken, and also this theory states what is the level of debt that the capital structure will require and the cost of equity when the capital increases. Okay, basically it states all of this. Now in this particular traditional approach, your capital structure advocates that there is a right combination of, you need to always make sure that you have a right combination of debt and equity in your capital structure, through which the market value of the firm is maximum. Now this approach is basically in this particular approach, debt should exist. Very important that debt should exist in this particular approach, because of the only then your market of the firm or market value of the firm is enhancing and market value of the firm is maximum. Okay, now if the debt is missing and if the market value of the firm is not enhancing much effectively, then there is no the theory is not effective. Okay, now there are various approaches various assumptions under this particular approach. It says the rate of interest on debt remains constant for a certain period, and thereafter with increase in leverage it increases. The expected rate by which equity shareholders remains constant or increase gradually. After that, the equity shareholders start perceiving a financial risk and then form an optimal point, and expected rate increases speedily. Now, earlier it said the rate of interest on debt remains constant for a period of time. Thereafter, it increases with leverage. Whereas this is just an assumption, whereas your rate of interest debt keeps on changing after a particular period of time. It keeps on changing, it keeps on fluctuating. It does not remain constant for a particular period of time. Okay. The expected rate by equity shareholders remains constant. It is an assumption, whereas an expected rate by equity shareholders does not remain constant. It continuously keeps fluctuating, increasing and decreasing gradually. Now, next is as a result. Okay, as a result of activity rate of interest and expected rate of return, the WACC first decreases, then increases, whereas it first increases and then decreases. This is an assumption that it is saying that it is decreasing and increasing, whereas it first increases and then decreases. The lowest point on the curve is the optimum capital structure. Okay, it is the lowest point on the curve is, it says it is an assumption that it is an optimal capital structure. Now, this is just an example of a diagrammatic representation which shows the traditional approach to the capital structure. This is nothing but it is just showing what is the cost of equity, what direction it moves when it increases or decreases. This is the weighted average cost of capital. This is the cost of capital. This is your x-axis and your y-axis, which on your axis you have your cost of capital, you have your degree of leverage, you have optimal level of WACC. Okay, and this is a particular example. This example is not really important, but you can also look into this particular example in order to see how the percentage is increasing and decreasing by knowing this particular formula. Okay. Looking into the following example, it says, consider a fictitious company with the following data. The data which is given to you is the proportion of debt is 20%, proportion of equity is 80%, cost of debt is 10%, and cost of equity is 13%. Now, what is the formula of WACC? Now, WACC is equal to weight of debt into cost of debt. Okay, weight into cost. The weight of debt, the proportion is nothing but the weight, and the cost of debt, plus weight of equity plus cost of equity, 20%, okay, 20% into 10% plus 80% into 13% will give you 2 plus 10.4, which will give you the ultimate answer, that is 12.4, okay, 20% into 10%. Now, it says, now assume the company increases the financial revenues. You need to by heart this particular example. It is very important if they ask you in the exam, okay. Now, it says, now assume the company increases the financial leverage, and as a result, the debt is to 30% and equity is 70%. Debt is, now it says the debt is increasing, debt is 30%, whereas equity is 70%. The cost of debt and equity also rises because of a company's higher exposure to risk. The new WACC is calculated as follows. Again, you have your proportion of debt, your proportion of equity, your cost of debt and cost of equity. Same formula, again substitute and find out what the percentage is. Okay, in that when you substitute and you find out, out as 13.1%. Earlier you found out 12.4. Now you're finding out 13.1%. Okay, now, as observed, with the increase in financial leverage of the company, the overall cost of capital reduces despite the individual increases in the cost of debt and equity respectively, wherein when the financial leverage was increased, your cost of capital reduces. Overall cost of capital actually reduced, right? Now, when it is reducing despite the individual increase on the cost of debt and equity respectively. The reason being that debt is cheaper source of finance. Okay, debt is a cheaper source of finance. That is the only reason why capital, when you increased it, the capital reduced. Okay, now next it says, now assume similar formula, similar format. Again it says, now assume that the company increases its financial leverage further as a result of debt, that is 50%, and equity as 50%, equal. Okay, the cost of debt and equity rise further. The new WACC is calculated. When you calculate, you again see there is a rise by 5%, right? When you calculate using the same formula, you see where there is a rise of 5%. Now, when you are noticing that the increase in financial leverage of company to the current levels, the overall cost of capital increases. Okay, when you are increasing the leverage, the overall cost of capital is also increasing. Whereas when you decrease the debt, the cost of capital actually decreased, right? Now, the above exercise shows that increasing the debt reduces WACC, but only to a certain level. Okay, if you are increasing the debt, only the WACC reduces only to a certain level. After that level is crossed, a further increase in debt level increases WACC and reduces the market value of the particular company. Okay, this is with the Example, problem. Now next you have traditional approach specifying optimum capital. So your next topic is traditional approach specifying optimum capital structure. Now it is all, this particular approach is also called as an intermediate approach, as it takes the midway between NI approach, and the value of the firm can be easily increased and by increasing financial leverage, and NOI approach, okay, the NOI approach, that the value of the firm is constant irrespective of the degree of financial leverage. Basically this particular approach will tell you whether how it is increasing and how it is decreasing, how you are offsetting and how the cost of equity is increasing, the overall cost, how it goes down, how you increase the particular capital, and what is the debt. Everything you will look into this particular in this particular approach. Now you have various assumptions to this particular thing, this particular approach. Now it says an optimal capital structure does exist. Okay, optimal capital structure does exist. It is a, you have to believe that optimal capital structure is existing. The market value of the firm can be increased and average cost of the firm can be reduced through prudent manipulation of leverage. Okay, when you continuously manipulate your leverage, that is increasing and decreasing, you can continuously fluctuate, you can increase or decrease your market value of the firm. Now next is the cost of debt increases if debt and R increases beyond definite limit. Okay, beyond, if you can increase your debt capital, your cost of debt also increases after a particular level. Okay, after which it says the rate of equity capitalization will also increase with it. Thus, these remains no benefit of leverage when debts are increased beyond certain limit, the cost of capital goes up. Now, the effect of change in capital structure on overall cost of capital can be divided into three stages. You can basically divide your capital structure into three stages, how it gets affected, how the capital structure is affected by the increase and decrease in the leverages or the cost of capital or the debt or whatever it is, based on what the company is planning to do so. Now, in the first stage, there are three stages: first, second, and third stage. Now in the first stage, the overall cost of capital falls and the value of the firm increases. Cost of capital is falling and the value of the firm is increasing. With how it is increasing? It is increasing only with the increase in leverage. Now what is leverage? Leverage has a beneficial effect on debt because it is less expensive. Now the cost of equity remains constant or increases negligibly. The proportion of risk is less in a firm. As we had studied in the first chapter, the risk is certain in any part of time. Risk is certain. Every organization goes through a certain point of risk, right? Whether increasing or decreasing, you will have certain risk which will be attached to it. Now in your second stage, a stage is reached when increase in leverage has no effect. Okay, your increase in leverage has having no effect, okay, on the value of the cost of capital of the firm. Neither the cost of capital falls nor the value of the firm rises. It is constant, nor it is increasing nor it is decreasing, it is constant. Okay, this is because the increase in cost of equity due to assessed financial risk offsets the advantage of low cost of debt. This is the stage wherein the value of the firm is maximum and the cost of capital is minimum. In this particular stage, in your second stage, the value of the firm is maximum whereas the cost of capital is minimum. In your third stage, beyond a definite limit, leverage of the cost of capital increases with the leverage and value of the firm decreases with leverage. This is because with the increase in debts, investors begin to realize the degree of financial risk and hence the desire to earn higher rate of return. Okay, because the financiers, whoever the finances are, they will want to take a particular risk and they will also want to increase the return. When you are increasing the return, again a certain amount of percentage of risk will be included with it. The resultant wherein increase in capitalization rate will offset more advantage to low cost debt. Okay, so this is with the topic of traditional approach. In your next video we will be continuing with the next approaches. Thank you.